All right, let's get cracking. I could use a good nap today, so I'm gonna try not to hang on here too long, but we'll go through some of the more important stuff. All right, where should we start? All right, let's just kind of dive into what went on and where we're at. All right. The last time, again, this is open to everybody. This is not just members only. Didn't I have a chart up marked off already? All right. Anyway, the last time we met, we spoke about a comparison to, let me lower this. Hold on. Let's go to button noise. All right, I'm good now. We will compare a comparison to 2018. Again, not in a sense of exactly what was going on back then, but very similar characteristics, at least initially, at the initial start of this pullback or correction, whatever label you want to put on it. All right. And if you guys remember, we went back, and again, if you're a Steam member, we went over this several times, but with you guys, with everybody, we went back to 2018, and I was kind of showing you how things, wait, isn't that it? Here it is. Okay, where we were exactly at the time we got together for that particular Zoom, right? So we were talking about, we were in this vicinity, right? And there's two scenarios. Either we were going to just roll over from here, okay? And if we decided to pull the trigger here and try to catch a squeeze, we would have a loser, obviously. But ultimately, that would set up a sweet spot, okay? Obviously, potential bottom longer term. Okay, so even though it would cost us some money here playing for a squeeze, if it did fail, the cost of the money would be worth it because the likelihood is it would have shaken out enough people and instill enough fear in a lot of players that we would have had at least an intermediate term bottom that we can swing with conviction off of. Okay. So that's where we were, right? We were in this vicinity. We were getting a lot of bullish sentiment signals. We were getting squeeze signals, but the market wasn't really squeezing, right? We would see a squeeze in the morning. Ultimately, it would fail. But that, in a sense, was setting up even a stronger tactical low, right? That sentiment support we talked about, where, you know, every time it dips into an area, you get enough bearish positioning out there that it almost acts as support. And you see multiple squeezes off that area because bears are leaning and, you know, bulls have a tendency to puke. Okay. So fast forward to what materialized and where we're at now. Again, no exacts, but we're kind of somewhere in here. Okay. And I'm not talking, you know, the exact price pattern. This can, you know, it can last longer, it can last shorter. But what usually happens is we get all those tactical and short-term positioning and sentiment signals. They flash bullish, right, into these lows. And what happens is you start to see almost all those same signals, all of them, go to at least neutral. Some of them even flash the total opposite eventually, which is extreme bullishness. Okay. So where people thought, okay, we got to, and you heard the rhetoric, right? So let's talk like we were hearing a week ago. The lows aren't in. Inflation is the big fear. You know, the ports are jammed. Christmas is ruined. We have to test the 200-day moving average at this point. So this correction can't be over yet, right? You were hearing all that rhetoric. Everyone went from just buy the dip to now, oh, wait, we're going to test the 200-day, or this one's for real. Okay. And now ultimately we squeezed, and you're going to hear a lot of that rhetoric start to change. Okay. And that's what happened. The same thing in 2018, late 2018, same thing. The market was a monster. Every dip bought, it was ignoring all the risk. And then eventually, breath thinned out, right? Just looked like an unhealthy rally. It cracked, it rolled over. They hit the bulletproof names. They hit everything, right? Exactly what we saw when the industry started to roll over here. Okay. And how we left it off on the last webinar, we were talking about how it's not even prudent to try to forecast how things are going to play out from here. Okay. Because you can get into trouble doing that. You have to kind of sit back and wait and see how players react and position to, the news around them and the price action around them. Okay. And the reason why I say that, okay, here, right, and I'm going to give you two examples. Here in late 2018, okay, at this point right here exactly, okay, you had hedge funds all in, okay, so they ended up buying this dip and they added to their longs all in. You had everybody feeling bullish that we were going to go to new highs and start a new bull run, okay? And then obviously, the market needed to flush them out, okay? Now you fast forward to the COVID lows, as you guys remember, okay? Once we bottomed and started to rally, people were still so afraid and so reluctant to get long anything that you had the total opposite of what I just explained to you. Okay. Everybody's mentality was, don't buy it, we're going lower. Don't buy it, we're going lower. Right. The non-believers, right? They never believed in any of the price action. We're talking about from the smartest players out there, right? Some of the top hedge fund guys out there to, your regular trader, and for good reason. For good reason. We saw something we never saw before. This time it was health more than economically or something like that, right? But you had non-believers, and it turned out to be the complete opposite of what we saw in late 2018. Now, no one believed in the rally, and that was fuel for every dip being an opportunity. Why? Because that's how much fear was out there. Instead of the price action reeling in more bulls, every time the market had a down day or two, everybody was looking to get short because they were playing for new lows again, right? Or we were hearing at least a test. It has to test the lows, right? And that never happened. Okay, so where we're at now, obviously, we can't predict the future. Okay, we don't know how people are going to react. Right? We can guess. Maybe look around us and just get a sense of how people are feeling with what we've seen already. But we don't even know what new news may come out. Right? I mean, there are a lot of balls in the air right now. You have the economy potentially slowing down, global economy slowing down, China major issues. You have, again, this whole clog up in the ports and goods, right? Because of the economy being flipped open. So you have a lot of potential news to come out in the interim here. Earnings. Okay, what happens if earnings turn out to be a travesty? Right? So there are enough catalysts out there that we really aren't, there's no way to get a gauge on how things may look in a couple of weeks as far as sentiment and positioning is concerned, right? If there's really some negative news out there, there's a good chance, right? If something big happens, or that negative, I should say, there's a good chance that even if the market's holding up, players would be reluctant to be bullish, okay, because of the noise around them. That's usually how it goes. So we need to, and that's what I was trying to tell. I've been stressing in those post-market notes for Steam Room members. We have to try to sit back now and, you know, keep tabs on how this all shakes out. All right. Because so far, right, and what we've been looking at, it's exactly, again, I'm not talking about price bar per price bar, but this is exactly how we figured the more probable scenario should shake out, right? We had enough sentiment support down here where at the least we should find a trading range, okay? And I still think that's the likely scenario here, okay, where we get up to here, we bump into some selling, we come down into this neck of the woods, people are going to be calling for new lows, you know what I mean? And then we're bouncing until, you know, ultimately it gets resolved in one way or another. And I think how players are positioned for it is going to determine that, right? And so what, like here's something I was explaining to you guys, like I really want to see here, okay? There's a possibility I don't get it, but for me, at this point where we are in the rally, okay, for me to feel really, really good about legging in to a basket of positions and looking to add to those positions into any further weakness, I need to see some things that really are going to show me and tell me that there's enough bearishness out there that the probability is the market's not going lower until it shakes enough of these bulls out. Bears out. You know what I mean? So I need to see hedge funds puke up all their long exposure. I would like to see Sharpies get aggressive on the long side. Okay. I would like to see specs puke up their longs. That already started to happen. Right. So, you know, hopefully we do get that. And the likelihood is we're going to need some volatility and some help from, you know, some outside forces like news events and things that go on day to day. We're going to need a little bit of help, especially how much people have been trained to buy the dip, but it happens quick. It happens quick. All right. So in the interim, what do? Okay. And, you know, some of you are more active than others, right? Some of you can solely day trade, others cannot. All right. So it's hard for me to just give a blanket statement, but generally, like the roadmap I'm trying to follow here for myself, okay, and I day trade and I like to swing trade calls with longer term timeframes. But what I'm generally doing is when we do get this type of setup, right, that's where I want to make a play on the overall market, the S&P 500 via calls, right, for a swing trade. And in the interim, okay, like where we are now or in between here, I'm going to try to be extremely tactical in individual names and try to find some alpha there. Okay, because the reason being is, I'll give an example. Like some of the underbelly names we're seeing now, and now is just a bad time, a bad example because we're in an OPEX week and it's earnings season, right? So we all know we don't have to go through the reasons why that's a shit show, period. Okay, but it would be a perfect time. Like now is not the place we want to look at the major indices for new entries. Okay, if you have an entry here and you're holding, I'm still holding on to half my position. I actually rolled out half. Okay, so if you have this entry and you want to hold on to it, that's completely different than what I'm describing to you guys. I'm talking about finding new entries, placing new bets, right? We don't want to do that here, right? Where now that tactical sentiment's against us, right? So we want to try to stick to these type of areas for entries, especially overnight entries, that rely on the markets or are an index bet of some sort. Okay. But while we're waiting for that, we may see sweepers come in and tattoo, I don't know, anything, a path, a U, a snow, an MDB, like we saw the last go around. And there could be money to be made there because a lot of these names, you don't necessarily need the market to do much. Okay. They can work a lot of these underbelly names when the market a lot of times is down. All right. And, it's a good way to utilize the edge or sweeper activity when, the overall market's kind of in no man's land. Yeah, market is, I understand that, and all of a sudden you're going to have a lot of people bullish. I get it. Market can run here. I've heard that a gazillion times today, but interestingly enough, I didn't hear it a week ago. So now people feel better about it. Of course, you had a big up day, and that's usually how it works. No? Seasonality works until it doesn't. If it was that easy to just buy seasonality, then I wouldn't need to rack my brain all the time. So, we'll see how it goes. But for me, you guys know how I play the game. The time to look to find an entry and get bullish, that time has come and gone here. And now there's more risk. There's more bulls, but I will say this, a lot of good came out of this, right? And that's what I wanted to show you guys, that, we'll see when things update over the next couple of days, but I still think there's enough here where we don't roll over and go south yet. That could change depending on how the market reacts over the next few days. Okay. But I still think, there's enough. There's enough. And the reason why, I'll show you right now. Oh, wait, hold on. Of course. Okay. Why can't we make a determination, right? And that major lows are in? First of all, we've hardly corrected, right? It's been, less than your average correction. But you major indicators, you're just not there. Major bottoms, you get these dark blue diamonds all over here, right? Those of you who've been around me for a while know, right, some of them. 2018, the COVID lows, every single one of these dark blue diamonds were lined up here. Okay. And you could see big improvement from where we were, but nowhere, not even close. Okay. Not even close yet. And again, you guys can understand when those major bottoms set up, when you're at a major low, right, where the risk reward at the sweet spot, as we call it, none of you guys are going to be none of you guys are going to be trying to flip me bullish, out of all people, right? I'm a perma bull. None of you guys are going to try to be, nothing against you guys, but none of you guys are going to try to flip me bullish. You guys are likely going to be suicidal, okay? And thinking I'm nuts for even talking about getting long anything. That's usually how it works, right? Like with the COVID lows, you guys were telling me I'm going to turn into a zombie. Forget about the stock market. That's usually where major lows are, where a lot of the risk comes out of the equation. Not when, 3/4 of us here are seeing the upside. And again, it's not that markets can't trade higher because of that, but that's that risk, right? If something does go wrong, you got some downside because everybody who's bullish has a lot of shit to sell. All right. So anyway, that's not there. Here's a bigger picture so you can see. Okay. We're over here. Here was COVID. All right. This is what I was explaining to you, to late 2018. It happened again. It can happen quick, especially the COVID crash. But you see the problem if shit does hit the fan, if something does go wrong, not according to plan. And that's what scares me about this market right now. Everybody's got to figure it out. Everybody seems to know what's going on. Everything they're predicting, none of it's coming true, but they still act like they have it figured out, right? You're still hearing everybody talk about rates exploding to the upside. You're still talking about inflation, right? You hear the same thing. They've been wrong for literally 6 months at the minimum, but they're still pounding the table on it. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And everybody's on, it's everybody. I can't find anybody besides Kathy Wood on the other side. I can't find anybody. I don't know, maybe you guys can find. I can't find a soul outside of Kathy Wood on the other side of that trade. It really is one of the most amazing things. Even contrarians don't realize, right? Even contrarians by heart, because they think it's the exception. They have it all figured out this time, they think. But the game never works like that. All right, so here, was one of the reasons. Obviously, a lot of these, a few of them have bounced. Okay, but here's where we are going into today. So it's going to take away some of the bullishness today as well. All right, but you had a lot of major sectors here flash bullish signals. Energy was the only one, right, that was bucking the trend, really. Okay, you have healthcare, which is still there. Biotech, still there. Semis, still there going into today. Tech, utilities, REITs, retail, mining bounced significantly, financials bounced significantly, housing, industrials. So, that's that sentiment support. You know what I mean? That's that sentiment support that we were talking about. Now you've had moves off of bullish signal. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm trying to change my tune a little bit, but I still, it's not like you still have semis, you still have technology, you still have enough sectors that are laying right around bullish territory. So I think that's a good thing as far as staying in a range, that type of thing. Here's world markets, very similar. All right, so you had like major market. Look, Germany, Japan, where was the? Oh, China and EEM bounced, but they were the first ones to turn, right? Germany and Japan are the big ones, really. The UK, that also bounced early. Russia was doing well. Where's Russia on here? Probably because of oil. Here. So Russia's been doing well because of oil. India, I remember this. India, this is when they had that COVID outbreak. They were at new highs already. Didn't take. What's the symbol again? In the no. What the hell is the symbol in A, right? Wow. Holy shit. Excuse my French. Yeah, well, you know what it is? You see how quick this happened? So basically you were here and you had some consolidation here. So now you had 3 days of bing, 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 or 2 days, I should say. And this lags a bit. This indicator lags a bit. So you're going to see this thing turn up now. You know what I mean? You're going to see it turn up. But this consolidation, you know, wasn't too bad. It was a good month and a half. All right, so that's what I mean about like things like this and just sentiment as a whole. Like, okay, this is NASDAQ. I should have posted the S&P. This is a future sentiment. We'll see again off of today where it ends up, right? Or the next couple of days. You know, you had a bullish signal, not that far away. You know, not that far away. So if you do get some selling, we should be close to bullish signals. You understand? If we have a down few days, you probably have some things lighting up bullish. And that's why I don't think we can, I could be, you know, I could definitely be wrong there. I could definitely be wrong. But I don't think, oh, here's these are lines, all kidding aside, you guys know, we drew them up here, if you remember. There they are. It wasn't on SPX. I thought it was on SPX. So this is what we thought we'd see, right? If it go by the book. All right, here's where we got all our bullish signals. All right, so we were a little early with gamma and everything. All right, it hung out here a little bit longer than maybe we thought. Rallied to this downtrend line, right? A little longer breather than we thought off the downtrend line. And then poof, right? So now I wouldn't bet on this. It's possible. What I'm thinking is, you guys saw I put on the other chart. I'm thinking you test here, you know, maybe there's a pullback first, but you kind of trade in a range type thing. Jesus waves. You know, and what was interesting too, you guys know I'm not a big technician. I mean, I know technicals, but I don't really use them. You see, there was a little gap here too. See that? Pretty interesting. So it's going to be interesting. I'm definitely fascinated. You guys know I'm fascinated by this stuff. I really want to see how this plays out. But if we do, yeah, there's a gap below now. You're right. If we do turn south from here, you know what I mean? Within the by early next week, that would be the best case scenario for those of you who are on my page, that you want this thing to work itself out, take some time and set up something better, bigger and better. You know what I mean? Yeah. Set up, see, because like if I get out of my way, and a lot of you agree, but maybe those of you who are more active, you know, maybe you rather have a market that's raging higher. I don't know. But like this here, I love that. You know, I love when you're bouncing off bullish signals like this and you can put a swing on and you can try to catch squeezes off this zone. You know what I mean? Now, if this happens again down here, okay, the likelihood is we're going to have even more sentiment, well, knock on wood, but we should have more sentiment support if that happens from here. You know, and we can almost trade off these levels. You know, and that's what happened in late 2018. You know, it was tricky, but for me, like I remember all the money I made during that time, because I was predominantly similar to now, swing cash, is trading, off of this. So you had this rip, then it came down when everybody thought we were going higher. Santa, guys, I remember it like it was yesterday. Santa rally. Yeah, come on now. That's it. It's over. Santa rally. There's always a Santa rally. You better get in now before Santa's sleigh leaves you. That's all you heard. Then you had this, right? This low held. That was another tactical setup, sentiment-wise. You had another rip here, and then this sold off quicker and just boom. And you had tactical signals fail, like right over here. But look what came. And then here, hedge funds, short, all in short, Sharpies, all in long. Everything you could possibly want. Very similar to the COVID lows. Yeah, the hedge fund position. So let me go through some of that. I don't know how I got sidetracked. We were talking, that's why. But let me go through some of that so you guys could see positioning. Okay, this looks very promising. Okay, so this is the Abova client ETF flows, right? The positioning over the past month. Look at this. Growth. Nobody wants it. Nothing. That's what was, I was excited and almost frustrated by the flow yesterday because they were hitting up all those names. And I don't want them to hit it now. You know why? The same thing that happened last go around when they hit them. You're going to have earnings get in the way of all these things. Right? Remember Bill, MDB, all these things? You had a nice little move. And then if you didn't hold it through earnings like I did, you missed the big enchilada. Yeah, I don't want them to hit it now. So that's why I was kind of, I was happy and pissed off yesterday because I love when they play these names. Yep, D-Dog, that was another one. All of them. Yeah, that's the only way. If you got lucky holding through earnings. And, I don't ever do that unless I have a lot of time. So whatever the case, but you could see like, this is setting up really well. No, guys, this is what we just want. Nobody wants growth. Nobody. You can't find anybody outside Kathy Wood who wants to buy growth stocks right now. Nobody. Okay. And I get it. I understand. It's the playbook. It's what should happen. But when does that ever turn out to be the case? Right. Well, Beth, that's all she does is growth. Even when you shouldn't be buying them, she's buying them. You know what I mean, Jane? She's a growth player. She's a growth player. So it's interesting. But look, like it's not just growth. Look at materials. Look where this ended up. That was up here, right? Energy, could use a little rest here now off just price action and some of the shorter term sentiment. Energy and materials were 1 and 2. Look where they ended up. This is just last week. This is not risk on positioning. Now, again, this could change and will change, this week. So we'll see how it looks, but here's what you guys are talking about. Hedge funds. Okay, so here's where they're at. Now, again, they're not up here, and that's okay. But in other words, it's not bearish in itself. It's bearish if there's a catalyst. Here's an example. Here's COVID. Okay. This is a travesty. You can hardly see it on the chart compared to COVID. You had a little bit of a pullback here, and they spit up some of their longs, okay? But they were still long. They got caught in COVID, and then look into the COVID lows. Okay? You can't make out the highs, though, but you can see he's looked all the way to the left. That's late 2018, I was showing you as an example earlier. You see where it's coming from? Somewhere up there, right? Look how bearish they ended up into those lows. Look at this. And you see how they stayed short for all this rally? Look at this. Right? And look, similar here, right? They stayed short, stay short. Then, look, they started covering shorts. They're back at neutral here. Oop. Yeah, whatever. Right? They're finally back at neutral. Then, little by little, they start getting long, right? But they never believed. Look how many times they try to get long and spit up. So, here now they're hanging out up there. The worst case, we don't want to see this, because then we got problems. Right, that's what they usually do. So we don't want to see that, Hussein. Well, you know what it is, Jim? You're right. They are. They are the smartest guys on the street, a lot of these guys. Okay? And it's funny when, like, any of us knock them, because some of these guys, I mean, when it comes to this game, we'll never know what they know. But it proves the point that when they're all on the same side, you know what I mean? When the crowd is the crowd, no matter how many smart guys are in that crowd, when everybody's on the same side, it's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. That's what proves that point more than anything else. Yeah, so what will happen is, again, that would turn out, Hussein, like 2018, okay? Because that's what they did. They added into the first pull like this, okay? And we had a little bit of a rally, as you saw, right? It was trading in a range, and then that had to flush them out, and you saw this. So you might see some positive price action from them buying over the short term, but then eventually all that becomes risk, because when they need to hit the exit buttons, if something goes boom, get in your bunker. Get in your bunker. So, but you guys see what I'm, right? Like, I'm not trying to be too picky when I say this is what I want at this point in this bull market. I need this, you know what I mean, before I can really start putting on position risk. Okay, it'd be one thing if, like, this market really caught a beating and it's down, significantly over the last 6 months. This thing has been a beast. We finally got a little bit of weakness like we had pre-election. Finally. So, that's why I need to see more capitulation before I can get really excited. And what I mean by excited is anteing up and putting on decent sized risk as far as swing positions are concerned. So I'm still going to play. You guys see, right? I'm still going to play. I'm still going to try to catch stuff over the extreme short term. I'm still going to try to catch tactical bullish sentiment setups with gamma. I cannot leg into a basket of calls when there's risk of that. You understand? Because that's how you get murdered. You get murdered. right? As opposed to here, okay, just to get so you guys understand, as opposed to here, where you start legging into positions, okay, and you may be early, but all this happened already and nobody's long anything anymore. You know what I mean? Nobody has, there's nothing to sell. The only thing is players are shorting because everybody has capitulated. Nobody's bullish. So for me, I look at it as, okay, I may buy a name and be early and be underwater, but if I am, I want to add. If not to that position, maybe I find something else that sweepers are accumulating into the weakness. You know, and that's where I want to build some sort of basket, because I feel I have that, you know, stronger support off positioning. You know, this where we are now, it doesn't have to turn out that way, but the risk of this happening is still legitimate. You know what I mean? It's still legitimate. Because just, you know, just by looking at a SPY chart, you could tell that. Like, think about this. This market's been going up, right? Even if you take out the non-believer time where nobody wanted to get long, which is this, let's say, okay? From post-election on, think about all this buying, you know, to shake out enough of those bulls, you got to burn them, right? They still, buy the dip is still part of their daily lives. Yeah, the China thing, you know, hasn't gone away. It's just been quiet. Listen, a lot of things that usually happen when you get tactical bullish sentiment, as far as news turning, happened. You get some positive signs out there, you know, and then bears get caught offside, bulls get caught empty-handed, and you get a rally. You know, but we'll see if all that bad news is gone. You know, as far as the stuff that a lot more people should be concerned about and aren't talking about, you know, I don't think it's factored in. You know, the Delta variant, fine. That was factored in ages ago. I still even think that this whole forget the term, with the ports being clogged up and all. I still think that is priced in and all that. What I don't think is priced in is the Fed being put in a box and having to supply. Thank you. I keep forgetting that term. Supply chain issues. The Fed having to tighten, and even if they don't, just make it aware to people that they need to get more aggressive off a fear of inflation, and it's happening into a global slowdown. That was 2018. You know, so think about 2018. Everything everybody was afraid of never panned out because Powell ended up pivoting, and not only was he stopped tightening, he started slashing rates aggressively. You talk about a complete 180. He went from tightening and being stubborn as far as tightening, you guys remember, to now aggressively easing. So, and I think that's what this market is trying to tell us and show us signs of. Yeah. So, but it's early yet. It's early. I think that's what the concern is. Tom Lee, he's been around. I said, yeah, he's around. I just got a report from him the other day, I think. He's been around, but you know, that's from on CNBC too. He's on you know, he's on the same page. That's what Tom Lee likes to do. He's a smart guy. I would do the same thing if I was in his shoes. I don't know why any major analyst would ever be bearish. Like, it's so dumb. The market basically goes up almost all the time. Just make outrageous bullish calls. You look like a genius. No? Like, some of these guys call for Armageddon, and it happens once in 100 years. Like, they're going to catch it. But you see that you can do that, right? And he's been pounding the table and pounding the table, and, reopening names and all that stuff. He made a nice call on energy, though. Yeah. But, he's a very, he's just a realistic dude. You know what I mean? He leans bullish, and he's real. He doesn't try to get too crazy calling tops, because he knows that probably, he won't have a job if he did that. All right, so that's the story. What else did I have to show you? I didn't think that was it. Yeah, that's it. All right. Oh, this. All right. So this was the actually got to zero here, and then got really negative. This is SPY gamma exposure. All right. So this is what we use with our sentiment signals and look for entries, right? One of these entries you're gonna run into COVID, and you're gonna lose some money, but every other time you're gonna have some sweet entries. And guys, that's our problem, because we're degenerates. I think that's not just us, everybody is like, you see, we all know, especially those of you, right, who I talk to every day. There was one swing entry here, right, on a risk reward basis, right, where it was right here, right, in this vicinity, and you had some time to get long if you were looking to get long. Okay. Now, some of us played it, sold it, right? Sold half. Some of us missed it. Some of us weren't around it, whatever the case may be. Okay. Now, what we do all around that obviously makes, it makes or breaks your P&L. But you could see, like, this was the high probability trade, right? This was the high probability entry. Okay. So if you treat every other entry the same exact way, it's tough to make headway in this market, unless you have a market that just goes straight up, and that's not always the case. I don't know yet, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close. So that's kind of the problem, right? And my problem too, don't get me wrong. Like, here's where you're supposed to buy. And, if you're looking for more, hold. You understand? Hold it, right? Like, if you need something to root on, rather than chasing up 600 down points, hold on to some of that or all of that position with a stop, instead of finding new entries. What is it? 40, 150 handles higher than where it was a week ago. So that's all our problem, right? But if you want to make money in this game, you want to take it serious enough, find consistency, these are the things we all need to work on. Because we're not going to find entries like that every single day. Impossible. All right, what else? Anybody else wanted to talk about anything interesting? You guys see anything? Names, honestly, we could talk some names, but I really I got nothing to talk about. I'll be honest with you. Because, we're in earnings season here, and yeah, there's a lot of names that look good, a lot. But I think you can't fall in love there, You can't fall in love. This NXE is a uranium play. That had a nice move. Roku, does it? I haven't really looked at Roku. Yeah, it does. When's earnings? November. Oh, you got some time. XBI caught some action today. I like XBI. I like this. It's been kind of doing nothing for a while. STNE, I can't believe how they sold that thing. I didn't even realize it. Holy moly. I looked at it the other day, Keith. I didn't realize it came in that much. Last time it was hanging up here somewhere. UPST, tons of sweeps again today. Yeah, this is out of my league. I don't know. You know what I mean? I saw the guy, one of the hedge fund managers who was pounding the table on it. He still loves it. He was on CNBC right before I got on here. Yeah, that caught some nice action, but you have earnings. When is it? Next week, I think. Oh, November? I saw October. This is November 4th. I thought I saw October 20 something. But anyway, that's what the flow is. Caught some big action though. It is October 28th. Later trade, October 28th. That's what I think what I saw. Yeah. So, it's an earnings play. That's what the flow is all about. That's what the flow is with all these things, guys. Almost all these things. Some of the short dated stuff, they're playing momentum. Where anything of decent size is all earnings. Front run, what indices? Which indices? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean though, front run. I got half of my S&P 500 calls. I still have half. I rolled them out to February. But I'm not buying here, if that's what you mean. You know what I mean? If they sell it. Yeah, I'm holding half. That's why I held half. So this way I'm not even, you know what I mean? It takes the FOMO out of the equation. But yeah, I definitely try to hold on to this. Unless we get cooked across the board, then I'll probably dump it. But I'm going to hold on to it in the interim. I don't have anything crazy. I'm actually, as I explained to you guys, I'd rather we flash crash you. I'd rather we flash crash, even holding half. I'm not rooting for new highs with the half. So no. I'd rather get that better entry because, I'll buy a lot more than what I have now. That's a nice spot, Luz. See, like names like this, Luz, I think even if the market trades in a range, we may be able to make money with these type of names. We may be able to make some money with these names. But here's the difference, Lucy. Like here's the difference in the way I'm looking at these things, right? Like if Sono caught aggressive sweeper activity and I had hedge funds all short and Sharpies all in, I would look to buy calls, right? Exposure six months out, probably minimum if I really like the name. And I would look to add the longer it hung out here, or if it went lower. Okay. Now the way I look at it. And that's why I've been trading equity mostly and not calls. The way I would play it is this. You buy it here and you stop yourself out if it's going in the wrong direction. You understand? And as opposed to holding it 6 months out, what I would do instead now, Luce, I would look to sell into a rip like this. You know, so it's just a different mentality. And the other thing too, Lucy, the reason why I would, you know, I'm more prone to do this now is because, look, okay, you got some time too here with this. This is mid-November, the end of November. Okay, so you only have this time here, right? You're almost playing a run-up unless you want to roll the dice and play earnings. And I don't recommend you do that. You know what I mean? Unless you're already expecting, you're okay with losing all your money, you know, because anything could happen off earnings. But you're playing a run-up. So you don't want to get too greedy, right? You got to be realistic about it. So you catch a rally, you want to sell, you know, you want to sell into that and look for something very similar to this. But without a doubt, you know, without a doubt, this is exactly what I would look. And Dad, you mentioned ADAS. I would treat it the same way. The only thing is earnings, I think, are closer. Would you go? Oh, the 28th you guys had. You know, if you like this name, you look for a squeeze ahead of earnings. Otherwise, I would wait till after earnings, honestly. I would just wait till after earnings. Yeah, it could definitely, right? That's, and now look, you could see, right? Even you almost got a niner here. So you could definitely see a bounce. And the one Lucy mentioned too, you got a downside niner here. Looks pretty good. Let's see, has it here. So you had a couple of these things along the way. Very similar. Look at this, Luce, here. Downside niner, and you had a little move like this. You know what I mean? Exactly, exactly. So that's, you know, that's more of what I'm looking for. Who was I talking to? Dan, we were talking about the indices. Like right now, I'm looking more to this stuff unless, you know, we see some selling in the indices and set up sentiment again there. I know, because you know what it is? Not only have the markets washed out, the names, a lot of names have really washed out. Breath was awful. You know, I mean, under the hood, there was a lot of damage, a lot of damage. Net, let's see. Oh my God. This thing's a beast. This thing is a complete beast. Right? Nobody wants growth. Nobody wants growth stocks. Meanwhile, look at like where do you see moves like this? You see them once every 5 years on the cyclicals. This thing is something else, man. Wow. I mean, this is, you know, and this thing didn't just start running either, Lucy. Look at this. This thing, forget it. Wow. What about the other guys we like? They've been holding up, right? Wow, that's back at near highs again. Jeez. Snow. Whoa. That court action yesterday too was up. Look at these. These stocks look good. And nobody likes them. As weird as it sounds. GDRX. They do what like the other, what the hell his name is. That's not a bad look. That's not a bad look. Coin. I like coin, you know? I like coin. catches some nice action too with time. I like this coin. I try to buy it on a down day rather than chase green days, you know. But see, all these names, you know, these are names we've been talking about them since, you know, what was it, midsummer when they were rotating back into them. I think all these names are going to get supported off weakness. I really do. You know, they could still come in like some of them have. But, you know, if you're interested in them, that's where you got to buy them. You know, some of them just got carried away. Look at MDB. This thing's going right back to highs again. Like this just got a little carried away. Some of these others, wow. Wow. Sunberg, I wouldn't fool around with these unless you want to play a lotto ticket. You know, put in a little bit of money with some time and close your eyes and hold your nose. Otherwise, there's better stuff than this. You know, these are lotto tickets. And the reason why they're catching flow now, if that's what why you're asking, earnings. You got earnings coming up. So you got a lot of people short, they're hedging. I don't know if anybody owns equity. They could be replacing equity. But, you know, don't go crazy. The beauty is with options, you put in what you're willing to lose. You know what I mean? And that's the way I would play it. Put in what you're willing to lose. Hubs, I remember Hubs from back in the day. This thing doesn't catch a lot of flow. Caught one sweep that I remember ever, and that was a long time ago. But this thing's a beast. Later, Lucy. I will, thanks. This thing's been catching action, INMD, but it's also run. Yeah, these things, big moves, big moves. Isn't this medical though? Is this medical equipment or something? Or am I thinking about something else? Medical devices, right. So this is the one. Yeah, they caught a couple of sweepers, this name. Dan's talking the cybersecurity name. Those things are animals too. Yeah, look at these things. They don't go down for long. Crowd, pan. Wow. Crazy. Anybody watching any newer names? Anything new? There were a couple new names that look interesting. MQ. I think this is a fintech name. Car got downgraded today. No, I didn't see it. This thing was up off the downgrade. You got to be kidding me, Dad. You got to be kidding me. They couldn't even take it down today. Look at this. Yeah, Vimeo caught interesting action. You're right. Had a nice pop. Wow, up again today. Shit. But this is like what Dan's talking about. A lot of names you really got they're all rung out here. Twilio. That had a nice day today, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't chase this, you know? I'd let it settle in. Maybe you catch a down day, Jay. But yeah, I like Twilio. I like Twilio. D-Dog, is that calmed down or is that still going? Oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God. Some of these things just haven't stopped. Snap, as there's been a lot of flow in this thing. There's been a lot of flow in this name. You know, it's not new. It's not new, right? This thing's been catching flow, feels like forever, but a lot of size in this name. Yeah, I would look for a pre-earnings run, Dennis. They've been, unfortunately though, if you wanted to get paid off prior action, you had to hold through earnings, if I remember correctly. Yep. You know, they made you wait it out. But yeah, big action looks good in match. Yeah, match does look good. You know, the only, I like match a lot. The only problem I have with it, it trades with reopening a lot of times, Mike. And if that runs into a little bit, well, it shouldn't reopening. If it gets tied in with the cyclicals, you might just get caught in this, you know? Maybe there'll be some action, tip it off, but it does look good. Does look good. What about like this Russell is just going to hang out here forever? I mean, have you guys ever seen any? I don't remember ever seeing anything like this in a major index. I don't remember seeing anything like this. You know, I understand a smaller index, but and I still don't know, Damien, I still don't know what it needs, what it would benefit off. I still don't know. I thought it was right. We went through this. I thought it was banks. Banks have done well. It's still stuck. I thought it was energy. Energy got red hot. It's still stuck. What would make this thing go? Anybody have any ideas? Ape shit. Seriously? Is it really determined? That determines the outcome of this? Because that's not good. It really relies on these. Is that big? I mean, I don't get it. Reopening names? What do you mean? Like travel names? Yeah. Wait, they're in the Russell? No. Are they? See, I'm totally confused now. You know, I used to, what I remember is I remember when you had the banks and energy, or even the regional banks, you know, maybe the regional banks. Healthcare, but healthcare got really hot before this cool off. Look, you know what it trades like though? This. No, XBI. Like it's done this. Crocs, LSCC, those are beast, right? AMC is a top holding. You got to be kidding me. Anyway, I know it's strange. It really is strange for a major index like that. Higher rates, yeah. That's usually the playbook. Higher rates. Usually, you know? But we'll see about this rates thing. I'm not sold, you know? We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you were in my shoes, I've been hearing rates are going higher since 2008. Okay, nonstop. And they've been completely wrong, you know? So now we'll see. I mean, they haven't gone higher yet. And now you're going to have the Fed tapering. Inflation eventually is going to cool off, in my opinion, once things really open up. I don't know. I don't see it, but everybody else does for some reason. You know, and what are we talking here, right? Like people are panicking over off of this. This is not even a move. You know what I mean? This is nothing. Like, look at this. God forbid you want to pull up a weekly. Look at this. So, I mean, look. Can you imagine? Right? Here's your higher rate complex. And then as soon as the economy has a hiccup, what do you think the Fed's going to do? What do you think the Fed's going to do? You think the Fed's going to stop doing their QE shenanigans? Exactly. Exactly. So that's the problem. That's why I wouldn't rely on ratio of the 30-year yield. What's the symbol there? Saeed? I remember looking for it on TradingView. I can't even find it. Yeah, it is, Mike. Strange times, but you know, look at what's gone on, Mike. You know what I mean? Like this is a whole new can of worms here. Right? You've had the Fed throw in the kitchen sink. You had a pandemic. That's why you're in strange times. You know, back when you had real markets, you used to be able to rely on stuff. Now you have a rigged game. Exactly. Is that for TradingView though? ES, let's see. And then I go slash. I got to put a 1 there. 1. How the hell did you concoct this? Where is it? I'll fool around with it when I get off here because I'll be all day trying to figure this out. ES-US 30-year. I remember trying to do this the last time. I'll find it. I'll find it. I think I gotta type the full name in there. Yeah, I'll find it. I think there's a certain way to type it out. I don't even know this symbol. Oh, this is TNX. This is TNX. All right. What else? Anybody else? Oh, somebody mentioned the name. I didn't ignore you. I just was in a toast. Let's see. Oh, yeah. What do they do? Anything interesting? Square, similar to Square? Toast. I like it. It's not really the best name for best name and ticker for something you want to get long, but I like it. Yeah, interesting. The guy who loved the UPST was pumping this one. They were asking him, what's the next one? He said, me. I think it was a SPAC. Yeah, this was a SPAC. Oh, somebody mentioned open. There's been some good looking flow in this open. Now, this was a SPAC too. But I know a lot of you follow this name. Yeah, me, because he was pumping it. That's why it's probably up after hours. He said it was his next favorite name. It reminds him of a Roku before it went. Oh, yeah, I see it up here, 869. Yeah, DBX, we've been seeing sweeper activity for a long time in this name. They buy every dip. Elliot. They buy every dip. Yeah, so open, what I was saying is they're buying leaps. They were playing short dated stuff without a doubt. But there's been some nice size in this open. So again, you're chasing here, but maybe you get a little dip like that if you like it. Now, not to sound like a broken record, you're going to have earnings in the way. That's the problem. Hood, I mean, do I like it? I don't really know, much about the company to like it or dislike it. The flow is very mixed, though. Flow's been very mixed. K-Web. Well, now you're living dangerously here. China. And Dad, you would have to put a gun to my head to buy China. I just can't. There's so much of our market flushed out that, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of Futu caught some put sweeper activity today. I don't know why, but put sweepers were pretty active there. TQQQ. Yep. Especially when everybody's so negative, NASDAQ and growth, because then you get them all caught short. But you did, you had some decent signals there from NASDAQ. We really did. Now, like I said, we didn't want to, I couldn't get aggressive into it. It was worth playing something. Look how quick that happened. Things happen fast these days. So it's easier to be patient. So that's my point I was making earlier, right? Let's say we're over here now. Let's just say, hypothetically, right? And we get a little selling next week. You're not that far away again. You know what I mean? Crude was hot, but I think it cooled off the last couple of days, Mark. I'll check it out when I get off this. I'll post it. There was a sell signal in crude, but then I think it cooled off last couple of days. Anybody like gold? Gold's tough, huh? Yeah, it is. You're right. But, you can, there's a way to play it, right? You can play it down here. But there's other things to, there's other things to buy, but it can be played. You got to be careful chasing into these niners because it'll kill you. You'd rather buy K-Web? I don't know. China scares me, but maybe that's why you buy K-Web, But I've been scared of these China names for a while now. Are they done? Is that government done with the shenanigans? I don't know if they're done. So you better hope they're done. They were in for Trump. Yeah, to me, like these Chinese, they're a piece of paper. These things can evaporate quick. Like do you see some of these names? What happened to these names? You're talking about annihilation. Annihilation. LK, oof. There are certain names I like, but what the hell do I know? With what's going on in China, I can't buy them. No, like I like Billy, but look at this thing. This thing got beat up. PDD. Yeah, right. That's what happened with Futu. See? How do you buy Chinese stocks right now, George? How could you buy them? I don't care, whether there's going to be a squeeze or not. I don't see the logic in it. I really don't. Yeah, that's basically the only thing, Q. The puts, made a fortune if you're playing put side, without a doubt. Especially this, like names like this Futu. Look at this thing, what they did to it. A lot of people got blasted in these. You know what's shocking to me, George? How there more funds didn't blow up. Where are all the longs? There was so many crowded longs in these things. Where are they? Who bailed them out? We heard of a couple of them. I thought there was going to be a lot more body bags to come out. Damn. Well, when you're playing with other people's money, why not? But yeah, I would stay away from these. You got real American growth stocks that got beat up like this. Find a Kathy name you like that got beat up like this and tuck it away. Like I don't see why I would buy a Chinese stock over that. Skills catches action. I got a bad taste in my mouth because it's a SPAC. I don't like the look of it, period. Like this is, I don't know what this is. But again, I can't talk you out of it because I don't know enough about the company. But it catches some flow here and there. It catches some flow. BLI, a short report hit that. I'd rather buy that. I'd buy that. I really would. CRISPR, that's another Kathy name, I'd buy that over a Chinese name. See, the thing about these bio names, though, and that's what people don't realize when they're running like this, after that run is done, they go into hibernation for a long, long time. And then there'll be a day, you never know when, where they get hot again and they go bananas. Bananas. So if you ever looking to buy a crisp, now is the time you start looking, to tuck it away. Surf. That's another Kathy name too, I think. Yeah. Here's the chart too to look at. Like, XBI. So you can see topped out after a really nice move and has been really quiet. But, they could get hot. They could get hot. Do you wait for them to start heating up or, you start nibbling? PSTH, that's another SPAC. You're betting on Ackman more than anything. Oh my God. Oh, this is a weekly too. Oh my God. I haven't looked at this thing in a long time. Yeah, I don't know what to make out of this. What is this? What happened? What is that? Is it delisted or something? At 19? I never seen anything like this. What is this? It's literally like a dead heartbeat. See what I mean? Like these SPACs, this is what turns me off to these things. Like, what is this? Is it trading? Looks like by appointment only. Really? Wow. Oh yeah, I remember hearing that, Jay. I remember hearing something about that. he wanted to change some law or something, right? Some ruling. Jesus Christ. But yeah, this is the turnoff, this is the turnoff to it. ARK has been seeing some action. The KK had a little move here recently. And everybody's calling for like the death of ARK, and I get it. Kathy was getting hyped up a little too much, but look at this move. When this move is done, what do you think? You dip for a week and then you go back to new highs? This is what happens. Best case scenario. This is a good scenario for ARK. You know what I mean? This type of consolidation is a good thing. It's a bullish thing. This move was nuts. Yeah, it's going to wear everybody out. You're going to see a gazillion false starts where it looks like it's taking off and ultimately just to stay back in a range. Then eventually you'll find, a bullish trend again. Like you say, when nobody cares about it. AV, is that a SPAC? AVNW? Oh no, this looks interesting. Aviat Networks. That's a big move too. Looks interesting though. Looks interesting. But yeah, I like these kind of names, George. You know what I mean? These underbelly, right? Under the radar type names, but they're legitimate businesses. I like that. Those are the names I love to play and just to follow. The ones like we did, the U's of the world, the MTTRs of the world, those type of things. So hopefully I find one to get excited about. And the other thing too, a lot of times you don't need the market to rage all the time. We've just been caught up in rotation and all this shit for a good year and change now. But eventually you can find outperformance in these things. TLDR. Are you talking? Oh, I thought that was a symbol. Oh, I thought it was a symbol. All right, guys, I'm running out of voice. All right, yeah, Sens, that's a cheapie, right? It's real cheap. These are a little too cheap. Like, I would buy the equity if I'm going to play it for a trade. But I like the almost like mid cap, like Bill, MDB, U, like those are the names I like. Like when I see a $70, $60, $70, $80 stock that nobody's following in a hot sector and catches aggressive sweeper activity, those are the ones I love. Like ZS before it took off. Those are the ones I really like. Because once they get hot, you get a lot of eyeballs on them, The one like you just showed me, I forgot the symbol already, but they're cheap. It takes Sens. So it takes longer for them to get noticed, I remember this Sens. It catches flow. Later, Mike. Domo. Oh yeah, Domo. I remember this stock. That looks good. LCID. That's the EV name, yeah. If you put a gun to my head to pick an EV stock, that's the one I'd pick, this one. But I'm not a big EV fan. All right, but anyway, to wrap it up, these are the names I think we try to play earnings run-ups. Okay, so tactical trades, don't fall in love, or some flow. And while we're waiting for the markets to set up or resolve here. Okay, but we got to keep an eye on sentiment positioning. We got to keep a close eye on it and see how it materializes. Because ultimately, I think it's going to be the telltale sign of where we go. Thank you. I appreciate everybody stopping by as always. All right. Have a good rest of the week. Tomorrow's Friday already. You believe this shit? OPEX tomorrow, so it could get a little funky. Have a good night, everybody.